there was another very big issue. What is it? Two things were going to always come up in this press conference. We were disappointed, though. I was disappointed that the question about presidential jets didn't find its way. And I saw that there were many journalists who had their hands up. They couldn't be called because of lack of time and choices and all of that. So I think that the question maybe was in one of those hands and it was buried. But anyway, it didn't come. Two questions that came. The question on Galamsey, which was a very big story, has always been a big story, and it was always going to come. Mr. President was aware that Galamsey was always going to come. He was very aware. The other one that came was the suspension, the removal. That's the word that is used. The removal of the Lord Chief Justice, Justice Tokonu, from office, pursuant to Article 146 process. Those two are what we're going to deal with now. How the answers were handled, what civil society thought about it, what's the way forward, etc., etc. So first, let's hear the question that was asked by Joy FM's Kojo Yankson on Galamsey.
My name is Kojo Yankson. I'm the host of the Super Morning Show on Joy. Mr. President, you've already talked about how important it is to safeguard the water bodies and the forest reserves. But over the past 9 months since you became president, the turbidity levels in the water bodies have worsened, according to the Water Resources Commission. Ghana Water Company supports this by saying that they've had to shut down several treatment plants because the water sources are too polluted for them to process. Besides that, we know that there have been increased incursions into forest reserves for Galamsey. We've also heard from your transport minister that we are importing more excavators than ever before, over 200 a day. My question about this is about its effect on the economy. Recently, the finance minister has been touting the work of the Gold Board led by Sami Jemfi for being an anchor to the economy, especially when it comes to stabilizing the city. My question is, does your government know, is your government able to tell the difference between gold from Galamsey and gold from regular concessions when the Gold Board is buying gold from local producers? And could it be, because so much of it comes from Galamsey, could that be the reason why we are seeing some reluctance recently in the fight against Galamsey, in the sense that the IGP's efforts have been stopped and he's brought back his men from the forests? Could this be because?
Thank you very much. I think your point is made.
So the question was loaded, but it had a fundamental yes or no in it. The fundamental yes or no arose out of the narrative that the Galamsey menace that we have been experiencing over the last 20 years can be stopped, ended, terminated by a presidential decision to impose a state of emergency. You can agree with that. A state of emergency will mean, like those of you who are old enough when COVID came, what we went through during COVID, you can't move, you can't this, you can't that, you can't that. So when you impose a state of emergency in the areas where there's Galamsey, it is illegal for people to be moving in those areas, and therefore the security forces take over, and people who are seen to be moving would have committed an offense. That's the point. That's the point about state of emergency. And it sounded very plausible and sensible to many of us who were worried about the Galamsey menace. Now, why doesn't the president just impose a state of emergency? A state of emergency is usually a final resort for something that you can't do anything about. And we all believe that at that time, 2022, 2023, we had gotten to the point where the government's efforts had failed, and therefore we needed to put a state of emergency and stop it. Let's watch these videos of some of the apologists of the NDC campaign and some of the anti-Akufo-Addo voices that insisted that a state of emergency was the way to go. Have a look.
They should declare a state of emergency. All mining should just stop now.
Yes, we have to declare a state of emergency.
Just as we declared lockdown during COVID, let there be a certain declaration of it. It shows seriousness.
Yes, I think that national emergency be declared now and today, not tomorrow.
President Akufo-Addo, stop Galamsey now. We will continue this fight and we will continue this struggle until our water bodies are protected.
It is his responsibility. The people of Ghana elected him. He is currently the president of Ghana. And it is his responsibility to deal with Galamsey now.
A few moments later.
You saw the video. Minister for Foreign Affairs, Sam Okudzeto Ablakwa, says, declare a state of emergency now, President Akufo-Addo. Current Minister for Education, Idrisu Haruna, a state of emergency must be declared now. The most significant, current Minister for Lands, the Honorable Ama Kofi Boa of Elembele. Nice man. He said, the only solution is to declare a state of emergency. Honorable Kofi Boa has become Lands Minister. Today, he's in charge of it. He thought that the solution was a state of emergency. He was clear in his mind, and we all agree with him that the solution is to declare a state of emergency. He's today Lands Minister. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa said that you have to declare a state of emergency not tomorrow, not 3 days' time, not next week, but now, declare. Today, he's Minister for Foreign Affairs. Sam Nate George led a demonstration with Ghana flag around him. Said that President Akufo-Addo must declare a state of emergency. Today, he's a Minister for Communication. The question was put to the president yesterday. Given the escalated concerns about Galamsey in terms of the damage that it is doing, it's doing more damage today than, if you do a year-on-year analysis, Galamsey is doing more damage in September 2025 than it did in September 2024. If you go to year-on-year, July 2024 to July 2025, you will find 2025 worse. Almost every indicator about Galamsey is worse today. Later on, I'll read to you Erastus Asaridonko's Facebook post, and you'll see it. So the question was put to His Excellency the President, who was running this campaign. Last night, this is what President John Dramani Mahama said.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The President can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. It means that we have to delineate the area where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in Galamsey.
State of emergency is off the table. Earlier, before the press conference, Johnson Asedun Katia, the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, also indicated that the state of emergency was not something they were considering because it has economic implications. Yesterday, President Mahama addressed other economic implications, the employment situation created by Galamsey. If they do a state of emergency, all of these people are going to stay at home, they are going to contribute to robbery, etc. The jury is out there on the answers the president gave for the Galamsey issue. Let's see what some civil society actors said. First, we begin. Now, let me have the president. First, we begin with the president as it was over there. Yes, this is what was captured by 3 News. He said, I've been reluctant to declare a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we haven't exhausted the powers we even have without the state of emergency. I was listening to Joy this evening. I heard somebody from Forestry Commission really struggling to make the point. The interview was very hard on him. That what are you talking about? And civil society this morning or across the networks on radio stations have been very upset. They've been terribly upset. They're all very angry about the president's answers. What do they say? Do you have some for me? Let's go to the civil society one. They're going to put it up, and then we look at it. This is the first one. This is by Manasseh Azuri. It's not that long. Let's read it. President Mahama has been brilliant tonight. From his first term and now, President Mahama has always demonstrated a strong grasp on all the sectors. He is not the kind that can be easily fooled by a minister or an appointee. On Galamsey, however, he has been very disappointing. The decay did not start in the last 8 years of Akufo-Addo. As the president said, I was a journalist when President Mahama was president. In his first term, I did not see the seriousness in fighting the menace, and his body language doesn't seem to show that it will be any different. The land that is destroyed because of Galamsey can produce food crops, so we should stop creating the impression that the only alternative to illegal mining is deviant acts, as the president said. Why disband the IGP's task force instead of just asking them to verify permits when they visit a site? Which sites did the task force invade that turned out to be a legitimate mining concession? Mr. President, so far, you have done well. Ghanaians are beginning to hope again in many sectors. But unless after listening, I don't get that word, but after listening to you tonight in the fight against Galamsey, I feel more hopeless after listening to you tonight. That is from investigative journalist Manasseh Azuri telling President Mahama that after the answers he heard the president give, he, Manasseh, feels hopeless. Okay, this one is my best. It comes from Suleiman Brima, who is the Media Foundation for West Africa's executive secretary. He says, Akufo-Addo fought Galamsey harder than Mahama's current government. Suleiman Brima fires. The other day, I said, one day, it's turning out to be sooner than I thought. We will come back and talk about Akufo-Addo. One day, very soon, when things settle, and we now can feel, and I've seen it. I saw the berating of J.A. Kufuor in 2008, what everybody said. Today, everybody says Kufuor is a hero. We will come back and see that sometimes the heat of the situation, sometimes the anti-propaganda, which can be vile, can even be evil, it can cloud our imaginations given the economic circumstance. And then it sort of takes away the real judgment that we should deliver. Otherwise, how is Suleiman Brima? I'm not done with Suleiman Brima. Let me finish with it. How is Suleiman Brima talking about Akufo-Addo in a positive light in reference to John Dramani Mahama? It is only because he has seen John Dramani Mahama's governance, he's seen Akufo-Addo's governance, and so he sits in a position to be able to do the analysis. And in his context, relating to Galamsey, which is one of the pivotal points for which the NPP lost the election, one of the pivotal points for which Dr. Bawumia was outvoted and people didn't even turn up, one of the pivotal points which was heaped on Akufo-Addo, and it was said that Akufo-Addo's presidency is the worst that Ghana has ever had. Worst that Ghana has ever had. The one who introduced a major social intervention policy. They said that his government is the worst that Ghana has had. And that was heaped on Dr. Bawumia, of course. Today, in September, Suleiman Brima says, Akufo-Addo fought Galamsey harder than Mahama's current government. Ooh. Is it true? I don't believe it. Is it true? Let's go to Ken Ashigbe, what he said. Ken Ashigbe said something. Yes. He said, the story is that, he says, President Mahama's response on Galamsey fights is disappointing. The Ghana coalition of Galamsey has criticized President John Dramani Mahama's response to the country's ongoing illegal mining crisis, describing his comments during Wednesday's presidential encounter as uninspiring and failing to reflect the urgency of the environmental emergency facing the nation. That's Ken Ashigbe. I'm not saying much. I'm just relying on people. This is the most interesting one. It's by Rastas Asai Donko. And please get me the Shamima Muslim's response to the thing, the one I sent you. We'll do that.
Are very disappointed in your government. We, and Samoa, Ghana, journalists for Ediatuja, especially Paul Adomochwe, any Yenuano join news. Some say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, meet the press now, in some of your they are very, very disappointed. Now, I'm going to say your government is going to be one of the worst governments ever in the history of the Republic of Ghana. Ebusuya, we, and some of the Tuja, my young son was watching our comment section. It didn't just so many promise the blogger. Hi, Ghana and Sem to Ghana and Sem CD, Hannah Benyani hour. The true story and whatever happens now. Raw, no editing. Send your canon, Sanya Mawatano. Ghana and Sem TV, Ghana and Tinia, Ghana Bay, Ejinamino, and so.